Hi everyone, welcome back to Know Your Infections. So far, we've been talking about what infections are and the microbes that cause them. So today, we'll be diving into something really important, and that is how these infections actually spread. So there are six major ways by which infections can spread. The first is by direct contact. This happens when germs are transferred from person to person. For example, by kissing, sexual contact, or even touching an infected person. Examples of infections that can be gotten through this means are herpes simplex, conjunctivitis, and ringworm. Now, how can you prevent this? Avoid close contact with an infected person. Do not share personal items like razor blade. Wash your hands after touching someone sick. The next means by which infections spread is by indirect contact. Germs can survive on surfaces and objects. When you touch a contaminated surface with your hand and place it anywhere around your face, for example, your eyes, nose, or mouth, then you're most likely going to be infected. Examples of infections that are gotten through indirect means are cold viruses from door handles, Staphylococcus bacteria on gym equipment, and even novoviruses gotten from your phone. So you see, the very next time you touch surfaces, do not be quick to touch your face or any of the orifices in your body, as this can be a means of having infection. How do you protect yourself from indirect contamination? Make sure you clean your hands after touching surfaces. Use sanitizers if soap and running water is not available. And try to clean surfaces such as your phone from time to time. The next way by which infections spread is by droplet transmissions. It's important to note that each time someone 1 feet next to you coughs, sneezes, or even talks, they release droplets which contains infectious particles. Now, these infectious particles can land on your eyes, your mouth, or even your nose, causing you to get sick. Examples of infections that are gotten through this means are COVID-19, strep throat, and influenza. The primary ways by which you can prevent this is by avoiding enclosed areas, or rather using a mask to protect yourself. Also, distancing people during the cold season is paramount. If you are the one infected, it's important that you cover up yourself when you speak to avoid transmitting the droplets to another person. Next way by which infections spread is by airborne. Now, unlike droplet spread, airborne particles are much smaller and can stay in the air for up to 6 hours. And it's important to note that because of how tiny these particles are, they can travel up to 6 feet and be inhaled into the lungs. Examples of infections gotten through these means are tuberculosis, measles, and COVID-19. How do you protect yourself? Improve indoor ventilation. Avoid overcrowded places, especially during outbreaks. Also, use masks to protect yourself. Another means by which infections spread is by food and water contamination. It's important to note that some microbes live in contaminated food and water. When taken in, this causes gastrointestinal infections. Examples of infections that can result as a result of this are typhoid and cholera from unsafe drinking water, E. coli from undercooked food, Giardiasis and tapeworm from unclean water. What are the ways to protect yourself? Always drink clean, treated or boiled water. Wash fruits and vegetables before eating. Practice proper kitchen hygiene. And finally, cook meats properly before eating them. The last means by which infections spread is by vector-borne transmission. Animals and insects known as vectors usually carry disease-causing organisms known as pathogens. They transmit these to humans through bites or by feces. Examples of diseases gotten through these means are malaria and dengue fever, which are spread by mosquitoes, the female Anopheles mosquitoes. Lyme disease, which are spread by ticks. And finally, rabies, which are spread by animal bites, example, dog bites. How do you protect yourself from vector-borne transmission? You do this by making use of insecticides and mosquito-treated nets to avoid mosquito bites. Wearing long sleeves and trousers in high-risk areas. And finally, vaccinating pets such as dogs to avoid transmission of these infections. Infections spread through different means, but once you understand these routes, it will be easier for you to protect yourself. Simple habits such as hand washing, wearing a mask, and good food preparation can go a long way in preventing you from getting these infections. If this episode interests you, give it a like and share with someone who always keeps hand washing. Subscribe for episode 4, where we'll talk about the most common infections you should know about and how to catch them early. See you next time. Bye.